This is the Deputy Clerk with a courtesy announcement that the Hewlett meeting will be starting approximately 10:05 a.m.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Margaret Abe-Koga, Chair of the Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation Committee, and I'm here with the Vice Chair, Supervisor Sylvia Arenas, and I'd like to call this meeting of August 21st, 2025 to order. Peggy, would you mind calling the roll to establish the quorum?
Good morning, Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Here.
Chairperson Abe-Koga.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great, thank you very much. We will move to item 2. And, before I do that, I would like to ask everyone to please turn off or mute all electronic devices, including cell phones, that may interrupt the meeting. And now we'll go to item 2, which is public comment. And this first item on the agenda is reserved for persons desiring to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation Community, which is HULIT. Members of the public who wish to address the committee on any item not listed on the agenda should request to speak at this time, as noted above the public comment instructions. Individuals will be called to speak in turn. Speakers are limited to the following: 3 minutes for 5 or fewer speakers, 2 minutes for 6 to 14 persons, and 1 minute for 15 or more speakers. The law does not permit committee action or extended discussion on any items not on the agenda, except under special circumstances. Statements that require a response may be placed on the agenda for the next regular meeting of the committee. And I'd like to remind speakers that you may comment on any matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of HULIT. The subject matter jurisdiction of HULIT covers matters relating to housing, land use, environment, and transportation within Santa Clara County. As chair, I may end a speaker's public comment if it is not related to the subject matter jurisdiction of HULIT. So with that, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak on a non-agendized item?
Yes, we have 7 speakers in chambers, and wait one moment for the Zoom room. There are currently 5 hands raised in the Zoom room for a total of 12. We have an additional one. We now have 13 speakers, which would still be 2 minutes.
Okay, great. We'll start with in-person speakers.
And we'll officially close the queue for additional speakers.
Great, thank you.
Our first speaker is Douglas Rice. If you'd like to approach the podium, and then, not necessarily in order after that, if you'd like to line up, there's Timothy, Anju Schaefer, Noble Mushtaq, Philip, Shayna, Katie Viernes, and Jamie Alvarado.
Yes, welcome.
Supervisors, good morning. My name is Douglas Rice. I'm the Regional Vice President for the California Pilots Association. I'm here this morning to speak on an item that I have submitted written comment on regarding the airport master plan at San Martin Airport. This master plan, which outlines development and growth of the airport, is now in excess of 20 years old, and the users and the staff seem to be at a disagreement on when to engage and how to engage. The one thing we do agree upon is that once we start this process, it's a 5-year period to integrate and actually utilize that master plan. The users would like to start that discussion now. However, staff has said that they don't want to entertain discussion until 2030. So they're looking at an implementation date of 2035 for the master plan. I've attempted to engage the supervisor's offices. Supervisor Koga, your office responded within 24 hours in writing. Supervisor Arenas, despite multiple and almost daily phone calls, emails, etc., has refused to engage on this item. It's very important that we at least engage in discussions to determine how to move forward, when to move forward, because you control the policy aspect before we even start master planning or something that is not quite to that level. So I would appreciate that engagement. You have the information in writing, and we wish to make things move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
morning, committee. My name is Timothy Sampson, and I live in District 2 of Santa Clara County. On May 22, 2025, the Sustainability Commission has passed agenda item number 6, ID number 124922, which was the Commission's unanimously passed recommendation to explicitly exclude new or renewed investments in fossil fuels as part of the county's official investment policy. In the past, this county has invested in Chevron and Exxon, two companies which have both accelerated the climate crisis and profited off of the suffering of the Palestinian people. I would just like to remind the council members that Chevron is the largest producer of fossil gas for Israel and the largest multinational corporation with a significant stake in Israel's energy sector. The investment from companies complicit in apartheid and human rights violations have had a real impact in the past. In the 1980s, many American cities and schools across the country divested from apartheid South Africa. This divestment movement was a key contributor to the economic isolation of South Africa, which has resulted in the end of an unjust apartheid. Today, we face a similar, deeply urgent crisis, the genocide and ethnic cleansing of Palestinian people. Santa Clara County must make the choice to be on the right side of history and refuse to invest in companies complicit in the crisis. Again, as a local resident of Santa Clara County, I see the abuses of human rights of Palestinians as a local issue. So many Palestinian community members across Santa Clara County are grieving the murder of their own friends and family, and many of us have been disturbed and moved by action by the images of starvation and death in Gaza. During such deep humanitarian crisis, our county has a moral obligation to invest our tax dollars in an ethical manner. And that means refusing to invest in companies like Chevron, Exxon, Caterpillar, and Microsoft, which are complicit in this crisis ever again. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, Commission. My name is Anzu Schaefer, and I'm a resident of Santa Clara County. On May 22, 2025, the Sustainability Commission passed agenda item number 6, ID 124922, which was the Commission's unanimous passed recommendation to explicitly exclude new or renewed investment in fossil fuels as part of the county's official investment policy. In the past, this county has invested in Chevron and Exxon, two companies which have both accelerated the climate crisis and profited off the suffering of the Palestinian people. In the face of these urgent crises, I am disappointed that the Hewlett Committee is not voting on this recommendation today. I urge the Sustainability Commission and the Hewlett Committee to work together and ensure the Hewlett Committee takes up this recommendation as soon as possible to ensure our tax dollars no longer contribute to crises which threaten all of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Noel Moschek, and I'm also here to talk about the recommendation that the Sustainability Commission passed, agenda item number 6, ID number 124922, on May 22nd, 2025. This recommendation explicitly calls to exclude any new or reviewed investments in fossil fuels as part of the county's investment policy, and I believe that this is a very urgent matter because of the two twin crises that humanity is facing today. First is climate change. Climate change threatens all of humanity, and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has said that we need to drastically reduce fossil fuel emissions by 2030 if we want to have a livable planet in the future. And 90% of CO2 emissions come from fossil fuels. When fossil fuels so directly threaten our humanity and our lives, the county cannot be encouraging these fossil fuel companies and fueling them by investing $15 million in Chevron, like the county was invested in until August 11th. Moreover, both Chevron and Exxon, fossil fuel companies that the county has invested in the past, are complicit in the genocide of the Palestinian people. Over the past year and a half, there have been 61,000 people murdered in Gaza, and starvation deaths have spiked in the past month, with more starvation deaths happening in the past month than in the previous 21 months combined. This is an urgent hunger and murder and genocide, the likes of which the world has not seen in this century. This is an urgent crisis that every global citizen must take action on. So I urge the county to take action and divest from Chevron and Exxon, which have provided energy to illegal Israeli settlements, Israeli military bases that have been funding this murder and have cut off Palestinians from the power grid. They are funding an apartheid state in Israel, and they are also funding fossil fuels, which threaten all of our lives here, both in Santa Clara County and across the world. So please take action now and refuse to ever invest again in fossil fuels. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Can you hear me? My name is Kate Viernes, and I'm a resident of San Jose, a mother to 2 young children, and a trauma-informed social worker and psychotherapist. Similarly to my community members before me, I'm here to call upon the County of Santa Clara to stand in its power and demonstrate to other regions across the U.S. and beyond that it is more than possible to move forward as a county without investing in a company like Chevron that not only fuels the Israeli genocide of Palestinians, but also holds a long record for decimating indigenous communities and communities of color across the globe through its corrupt business tactics and violent disregard for the environment. In my work as a trauma therapist, I witness every day the pain and trauma that human beings are left to tend to when the systems that rule and govern their lives put profits over people and assign less value to those who are marginalized racially, financially, and along other arbitrary factors. But systems don't have to further traumatize. Santa Clara County can make the conscious and conscientious decision to divest from a corporation that is responsible for death, trauma, and the passage of trauma down to future generations. Do the right thing for Palestine, do the right thing for my children, do the right thing for the most vulnerable communities of Santa Clara County. Make the move to divest from Chevron Corporation.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shayna. I am a resident of Santa Clara County, District 3. And like my colleagues before me, I want to remind this committee about agenda item number 6 from May 22nd, 2025, where the Sustainability Commission unanimously passed the recommendation for this county to divest from fossil fuels. The worst hunger crisis this world has seen this century is going on right now in Gaza. The amount of food aid Israel has allowed into Gaza is not even close to meeting the basic needs of the Palestinian people. And as a result, more Palestinians have died of hunger in the past month than the previous 21 months combined. In the face of this dire crisis, the world has a duty to stand up for basic human rights and take action wherever they can. In our county, we have a clear way to stand up for human rights by pledging to never again invest in companies like Chevron or Exxon, which provide the fuel for this mass starvation. Given the urgent nature of this crisis, where people are dying of starvation every day, I urge you, the Hewitt Committee, to take up the recommendation to never again invest in fossil fuels immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name's Philip. I am a resident of District 3, and I'm also an SEIU 521 steward. And I'm here to say that in Gaza, over 2 million people have been displaced from their homes, and over 250,000 housing units have become uninhabitable due to bombing, and over 80% of the roads have been damaged to the point that they will require extensive rehabilitation there in Gaza. As a committee dedicated to housing and transportation, you should also understand how destroying housing and transportation infrastructure to this level is a deep violation of human rights. Unfortunately, for several years, this county has invested in companies like Chevron and Exxon, which provide fuel for this mass destruction and human suffering worldwide. I urge this committee to be on the right side of history and to take up the unanimous recommendation from the Sustainability Commission back in May to divest from Chevron and fossil fuel companies and to not have any more future investments in fossil fuel companies. So thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Jaime Alvarado, lifelong resident here at Santa Clara County. I'm here to join with these folks who speak so eloquently on the issue. And today, asking that you join thousands of Santa Clara County residents who are calling on the Board of Supervisors to do what we can at the local level to bring peace to Palestine and Israel. One meaningful action the Board of Supervisors can take is to do all possible to ensure that Santa Clara County Public monies do not support entities that make the war possible in any way. One such entity has been mentioned is Chevron, which literally provides the fuel that runs the war. Santa Clara County is an investor in Chevron, and we call on the Board of Supervisors to cut all investment ties with Chevron and other such entities that feed into war around the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Apologies to the chair.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We have concluded everyone who turned in a speaker card,
Okay.
and that combined with the timely speakers in Zoom kept it at 2 minutes. If we take these additional 2 speakers, we hit the 15 mark, which lowers it to 1 minute.
Let's stick with 2 minutes. Is it just one? No, that's 2. Let's go ahead and take whoever's left in line, and that'll be the end of our in-person speakers.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a laborer. You heard them. Chevron directly powers the genocide that is being committed by Israel. It fuels the energy apartheid that it has going. It has provided hundreds of millions of dollars in forms of royalties to Israel's government every year through its extraction projects. And on top of fueling genocide, Chevron also spilled millions of crude oil and polluted wastewater in environments such as the Amazon rainforest. I think it is clear that we need to divest from companies like Chevron, like Caterpillar, like Exxon, in order to start a new time of essentially healing for our community. So that, because as you can see, the city is crumbling before you, regardless of how many homeless people are going to be on the streets or not. And in order to ensure that it doesn't go further, you have to divest from these billionaires that seek to only exploit our environment. And if you don't do so, then it's just going to continue to crumble out there. Nothing's going to change. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could,
Sir?
please fill out the speaker card, the yellow paper there. That would be great. We would like to have that for our records. Thank you. Welcome. Good morning. And if you could also afterwards fill out the speaker card, we'd appreciate it.
Okay, I actually did already fill one out.
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay, great. Thank you.
My name's Elaine Albisri. I live in Palo Alto. And I have a poem here from Anita Barrows. Anita is a local poet who writes a poem every day for Gaza. And this poem is numbered day 682, and it is for Amna al-Mufti. She was carrying water when she was killed, an airstrike. What more do we know about her? We know her name. We imagine her fingers tied around the handle of the container. We know she was walking. How old could she have been? A young girl is all we've been told. 7? 9? Was this something she did every day? Did she offer to go because someone else couldn't? A brother? Her father? Was her father living? Had they been displaced again and again? Was she a child who loved to sing, draw, run? Whatever she cared for was stopped still at that moment. She was killed carrying water. Was her family waiting? Was water the single hope they had to stay alive? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go to online speakers.
Yes, our first speaker is Musa Tariq. Please accept the unmute to begin speaking. You will have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Musa with CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, with our office here in Santa Clara County. On May 22nd, the Sustainability Commission unanimously urged the county to stop new fossil fuel investments. Yet this committee has not taken it up. Taxpayer dollars in this county are still being invested in companies like Chevron, who are driving the climate crisis and profiting off of the genocide in Gaza. We urge you to act now and adopt this recommendation. To provide context, Israel has dropped over 10,000 tons of bombs on Gaza, the equivalent of 7 nuclear bombs on a population trapped in an area the size of San Jose. A recent report using internal Israeli intelligence data showed that 83% of those killed in Gaza were civilians, overwhelmingly innocent men, women, and children. Chevron powers Israeli military bases that have killed hundreds of thousands of Palestinians since October 2023, and it also provides energy to illegal Israeli settlements while denying Palestinian communities access to the grid. As of August 11th, this county has $15 million invested in Chevron, and by keeping these investments, our county is complicit in the killing of children and destruction of Gaza. So we again urge this committee to divest from Chevron and ensure public funds do not fund war crimes, genocide, or climate destruction. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Drusi K. Please accept the unmute to begin.
Hi, my name is Drusi Casanova. I'm a member of San Jose Against War. Until August 11th, this county had $15 million invested in Chevron. In addition to the large role that fossil fuels play in climate change, Chevron is also responsible for environmental disasters through its own negligence. For example, Chevron spilled millions of gallons of crude oil and polluted wastewater in the Amazon rainforest, causing cancer, miscarriages, and skin conditions in indigenous people and poor farmers. Here at home in the Bay Area in 2021, Chevron's Richmond refinery spilled 600 gallons of oil into the bay, creating conditions where people had to stay inside because the oil spill made it unsafe to breathe. The Richmond refinery continues to have regular flares and fires, which have caused disproportionately high rates of asthma and cancer in Richmond's residents, and especially in children in Richmond. I urge the county to take action by permanently divesting from all fossil fuels to prevent these kinds of investments from ever happening again in the future. This is in line with the County Sustainability Commission's unanimous recommendation, and it's also in line with the county's commitment to social responsibility, sustainability, and a safe and clean environment for all. Thank you.
The next speaker is Margaret Okazumi. Please accept the unmute.
Good morning. I'm Margaret Okazumi. I live in Sunnyvale, and I'd like to echo the other speakers in asking the county to take up the recommendation from your Sustainability Commission that was passed unanimously for the county to divest from fossil fuels. Considering how reckless Chevron is with our health and our environment, it's extremely disappointing that the county has chosen to invest millions of dollars in Chevron as of last week. I think it's a no-brainer that we should not be investing in a company that is causing so much harm to our health and the environment, and not to mention its complicity in a horrific genocide. By continuing to invest in Chevron, the county is complicit in this genocide. I really strongly urge you to take up the recommendation by your Sustainability Commission to not invest in fossil fuels companies or companies complicit in human rights abuses.
Our next speaker is Shahid. Please accept the unmute.
Good morning, committee. My name is Shahid, and I am a student at San Jose State. Until August 11th, this county has had $15 million invested in Chevron, an energy company deeply complicit in the suffering of the Palestinians. Chevron powers all the bases of the Israeli military, which has killed over 60,000 Palestinians in the past year and a half, and has provided energy to illegal Israeli settlements while banning some Palestinian communities from connection to the grid. In the face of these clearly immoral actions, The county must take a stance and adopt a policy to never invest in companies like Chevron again. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Lillian Koenig. Please accept the unmute.
Yes, thank you so much. The first gentleman who spoke about the Airport Commission, I did attend it the other day, and it's on sustainability and climate. And they are going to be developing Columbus Park. They mentioned how they would put in some green turf, that's artificial turf. And I spoke to a councilman, and he said, oh, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors has no jurisdiction over our city. So I'm not sure how that works, because I thought the Board of Supervisors do not want artificial turf to be put in anymore. And the other thing is, when the Airport Commission decides to develop, and the city of San Jose will be developing Columbus Park, which is where they're currently pretty close, unfortunately, to detaining and dismissing unhoused individuals and people who live in the RVs over there. But my comment is that we should maintain our green spaces, and there's quite a few beautiful trees in that area. And the gentleman who spoke, I think he represents District 3, if I'm not correct. And now that area is rezoned, and I think it's District 6. It's kind of a confusing thing. But I hope the county realizes that the cities maintain their individuality, and it's bothersome, because if they do and they say, okay, now we're going to put in green turf and nobody has jurisdiction over that, or now we're going to upend our green spaces and we're going to displace individuals and take out trees, et cetera, et cetera. I'm confused on how the county is supposed to go forward with things such as green space, open space, etc. And by the way, my father was a Holocaust survivor, and I can tell you that we support Israel no matter what. And I hope the county.
And that concludes our speakers.
Great, thank you. We will close public comment. I know we normally do not discuss what's been brought up, but I did want to, just for information purposes, ask our Deputy Executive, Ms. Gallegos, if you could share where we are in the process regarding the Sustainability Commission's recommendation.
Good morning, thank you. And again, Sylvia Gallegos, Deputy County Executive. What I will offer is that divestment from fossil fuel companies is not a new issue. And in fact, we've been grappling with these issues over the last 10 years and have been trying to rebalance the investment portfolio to align with all the county priorities and the board's priorities. The finance agency is preparing a report in response to the board's request for information on this topic, and this will be shared with the county exec, I believe, soon, and then we will find the appropriate way to present this to the board. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Great, we will now go on to.
Chair?
Oh, yes, yes. Vice
Thank you.
Chair.
I appreciate that. I just also wanted to, I know typically you don't respond to public comment, but it's hard to not do that this time around, because I do want to let folks know how important it is for us to hear from you. It is apparent that there is already work to address some of the issues that you've brought up, whether it was about the recommendation from the Sustainability Commission or any other item. We continue to listen. I know that my office met with the SV Youth Climate Action Group and the Sierra Club, and as well as Doug, who came in and spoke. I know that there's been at least 5 times that my office has connected with you. So we continue to listen. Whether we agree or not, it might be something different, but I know that there's a lot of parallels in our objectives, and sometimes there isn't. So anyways, I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to item 3, which is approval of the consent calendar and any changes to the committee agenda. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any questions about the consent calendar or changes to the agenda?
No, I believe consent with items 5 and 9, and I can make a motion to offer that.
Great, thank you. So that was a motion to approve consent, adding items 5 and 9 from the regular agenda to the consent calendar, and I will second that motion. Are there any public comments on this item, the consent calendar?
We have no speakers in chambers and no hands in the Zoom room.
Great, thank you. Then I will close public comment, bring it back. Peggy, would you mind doing a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Chairperson Abekoga.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll now go to the regular agenda, and we go to item 4, and I'd like to ask the clerk to introduce item 4, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairperson Nabekoga, Vice Chairperson Arenas. I am Curtis Boone, Clerk of the Board of Supervisors. What we have before you today is 2 work plans, one for the Airports Commission, one for the Sustainability Commission. I do want to call your attention to the revised version of the Airports Commission work plan that was published online as supplemental information yesterday. The key change was to goal/objective number 9, and it restored some words that were inadvertently omitted due to a transcription error. We do have representatives from both commissions available to present to you today. From the Airports Commission, we have Chairperson Dan Connolly, and from the Sustainability Commission, I believe we have Chairperson Bruce Patton. I am, of course, available to answer questions should you have any for me.
I do not. Vice Chair, do you have any questions for the clerk before we go to the commissioners?
No, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so I'd like to ask Commissioner Connolly if you wouldn't mind coming forward and providing your update. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for making time to be here. So if you can stand there, yes, it'll automatically
Great,
project.
thank you. Good morning. It's nice to see you both, Supervisor Arenas, Supervisor Abekoga. I had prepared a presentation. Unbeknownst to me, the correction was made to the work plan, which I don't need to spend the time to go through item number 9, but I have provided this to the clerk, and you've got copies of it, just to back up what had happened. And certainly I was not pointing blame anywhere towards the Board of Supervisors. As the chair, I have the responsibility to look over the electronic versions, and I failed in that regard. And so I do appreciate that the correction had been made, because it significantly changed the meaning of that sentence. So I will go on to our work plan as we have it today. We had a subcommittee of Commissioner Alvarado and Commissioner Sutherland and myself working on the work plan, and then we presented it to the Airport Commission for their approval. We initially had the work plan for April, and then decided to put a subcommittee together because we wanted to do greater community outreach in reference to the airport. I won't go over each aspect of the work plan as you have it in front of you, but I do want to point out a couple of things that are important to the Airport Commission, and we'd like to ask for you to consider this in the future. It's very difficult. Myself as a business owner, I know how challenging business can be. It's very difficult for those that are doing business with us at the airport to never have more than a 1-year lease. It makes it hard for them to actually get their funding and things of that nature. And since we know that there's not going to be any changes at the airport until 2031, we'd like to encourage you to consider something more reasonable for those at the airport. The other item that has really not been on a lot of people's radar is EVTOL. And most people don't even know what that is, but you remember the days of Lyft and Uber, and now we've got Waymo that are driverless cars around San Francisco, and we're seeing them around San Jose now. Well, EVTOL is about 18 to 24 months out. Archer Aviation this last week completed a 55-mile flight, their longest flight, and we don't have the infrastructure at any of our airports, including San Jose International, to be able to accommodate that type of activity, and I think we're a little behind on the 8 ball. So I just want to make that, that point to you that we need to look at some infrastructure issues to be able to support those small haul drone type flights that are going to be carrying passengers in 18 to 24 months. The other thing we want to do is to reach out to the schools that are utilizing Reed Hillview Airport. You may not be aware that pilots are required to retire at the age of 65, and maybe 30 years ago that was a big deal, but I'm going on 64 and I feel like I still have a lot of time left there. But it's going to cause a huge problem in the aviation industry. By 2030, we're going to be lacking pilots. Reed Hillview is a huge training ground. And with San Jose State, Gavilan, we want to know those schools that are utilizing our airport in some ways with their aviation programs. And so we've already scheduled Gavilan to come and speak at our next meeting to give us some ideas there. We're pursuing San Jose State. And another group that is at our airport, but you don't hear much about, which is Civil Air Patrol, which handles search and rescue. We're going to have them speak to us as well. So that's part of our community outreach that is going on. We think it's important for you to take a look at the reactivation of the Regional Airport Planning Committee of the Metropolitan Transportation Committee because of the EVTOL issue and the fact that the entire region is not ready for this. We think it's time that that committee should be engaged and want to encourage you to take a look at that. And then, of course, my goal as chair of the Airport Commission is try to foster a better relationship with the Board of Supervisors. And we can have differences of opinions on topics, but I believe that there's a lot of common ground that we can work together, and that's what my commitment is to you as the chair of the Airport Commission. Again, number 9 is the item on the work plan that was revised, and just for the record, I just want to read the wording of what that revision was, even though you have it. It's to receive information regarding potential damages caused by G100UL first 100 low lead to paint O-rings, and whether there are other effects on critical aircraft components. We think that this is critical because there may be, we don't know yet, but there may be a safety issue. We've seen one claim for $600,000 that an insurance company has recently approved totaling an aircraft at Reed Hillview Airport, and that aircraft, it's been designated as being caused by the G100 unleaded fuel. There are 2 more that have come to my attention yesterday that are supplying information. So I think the important thing with this, and you will be getting a recommendation at your next Hewlett meeting regarding this, is that we'd like to limit the county's liability if indeed there is a problem with that fuel. And that's why amending the wording of that recommendation was so important, because we need to research that for you. We did change up the work plan just a little bit. You'll notice on the last page of the work plan, Commissioners Alvarado and Sutherland thought that it would be a good idea for us to put our mundane day-to-day activities that always occur on the back page of that work plan. So we have changed the work plan format up just a little bit for you, but I would encourage you to approve the Santa Clara County Airports Commission work plan, and I'm open to any questions that you may have regarding this plan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the very detailed report. Vice Chair, do you have any questions for Commissioner Connolly?
Actually, yes, but I wasn't sure. Do you want me to ask just some technical questions or make comments after public comment?
Would you like to go ahead and ask your questions?
I will answer to the best of my ability anything that I can for you,
Okay.
Supervisor.
Wonderful. So I was wondering why the Regional Airport Planning Committee of the MTC, due to advanced air mobility of aviation, which is item 7, why was it not active? I mean, this is a request to reactivate that.
So some years
body.
ago, it was deactivated, but what that really does, to my understanding creates coordination between more than just our county, but through the entire area. And with EVTOL up and coming, and the other thing we haven't talked about here is that you are going to have a number of drone delivery services being activated around the Bay Area in the near future for package deliveries operating under that 400-foot level. That's going to require some coordination, and we wouldn't want to see counties with conflicting regulations. And we think that that's, by reactivating that, we'd have one voice that could work on policy between the various entities, counties, and cities.
Understandably so. How did we, how were we doing, or we weren't doing in terms of, we weren't having regional conversations because this particular committee wasn't meeting? Is that what was
That's correct.
Basically taking place?
It was deemed unnecessary some time back, and so they discontinued it. But we think with the changes going on in the aviation industry that are specifically going to affect us first, because both Archer Aviation, Joby Aviation are right here in the Bay Area. Their facility, Archer is here in San Jose, but their test facility is Salinas. Joby's test facility is down in Marina, and our commission has toured both facilities to get a better understanding, because we think that we need to be able to impart that information to you about the changes that are coming. And they are both very specific that they will be flying commercially in 18 to 24 months. And so that's where I'm concerned that we have nothing in place. And we're not the only place that's behind the 8 ball. The FAA is trying to come up to speed on this as well at this point. But those conversations have to happen, because these won't be operating out of major airports. They'll be operating out of local airports.
Smaller, right. Right. Okay, thank you. That makes sense. My next question is, we heard a comment around the master planning.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble
Oh,
hearing.
I'm so sorry. Here we go. My question is around the master plan. This is item 8, encouraging the board to participate in future planning studies, one of which is the master plan. And what are the thoughts regarding the commission in terms of the master planning? I heard, this 20 years since the last master plan. And I guess I want to hear a little bit more in terms of the recommendation.
So obviously, the commission has diverse opinions, just like the Board of Supervisors does. Right. And we're respectful of those diverse opinions. But one of the challenges that I see, and I believe our commission sees, that if we wait till 2030 to start working on a plan, and for example, you as a Board of Supervisors decide to close Reed Hillview in 2031, which I don't think is a realistic time frame, but let's just say, for example, that you did, okay. There is no infrastructure available to take on the number of aircraft, the number of flights. There's no control tower down at San Martin. There are a lot of things that will need to happen in order to facilitate that. And regardless of which way the decision goes, the San Martin Airport is in our opinion, very much in disarray, in need of repairs, issues that are going on down there that have to be addressed, but those issues have to be addressed with finances. Mm-hmm. And although there's issues at Reed Hillview as well, the master planning process is a long process. I went through it with the city of San Jose when you were on the council, and it takes a lot of years to do those plans. We have information as to what some of you envision that you want to see moving forward. Even without making that decision to close Reed Hillview, a master plan is necessary to be at least looked at, or some type of plan starting to be put together. 5 years down the road, I think would be a disservice to the community and those that have airplanes and utilize that airport.
I would be interested in the list of concerns for San Martin. Do you happen to have that available that you can
I
follow
don't
up
have
with
them
me?
available, but I would be happy to provide
Sure.
them to.
No, I meant as a follow-up. I
Yes.
didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No,
Right,
that's fine. I'd be
in the
happy
moment.
to get that put together for you. You can forward it to your office.
Perfect, perfect. And I understand that you want to preemptively be prepared for potential closure or non-closure. My concern would be that we would invest, and I know even a master plan process for a park takes multiple years to conduct, and an investment.
It is.
Right. So my concern would be that we don't know what is going to happen with Reed Hillview, and the master plan process will take, like you said, will take place over a number of years and have a significant investment in it. To prepare for something that may or may not happen is of concern to me, because it could be efforts that may not be well spent. I don't know what that will look like. I don't know whether it'll close or not close. You said yourself, let's assume it does, let's assume it doesn't, right? We both don't know.
Right.
And so for me, the concern would be an investment when we know we are in a deficit, and more impacts of deficit coming to us. And not to say that I don't want some of these concerns addressed, and so that's why I'm asking for you to give those to me separately, so I'm informed of what those are, irregardless of whether there's a master plan or not.
Absolutely, and I think what's important for you as part of the Board of Supervisors is to understand that with a master plan, let's say we push it out and don't do a master plan till 2030, which means the master plan gets finished in 2035, you're not going to have the ability to simply close one airport before we've got another airport ready to go. So you may be up to 2040 by the time that happens. And I just want you to be realistic. I know that there are some within the Board of Supervisors that would like to see the airport closed. We can have differing opinions on that, but I think we need to be realistic with timeframes, what it would take to transition someplace else. And that's why I think at least exploring some type of a master plan would be prudent. Whether the master plan happens, we need to be thinking about what that transition may look like.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Those are my questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much for the details. I think what we'll do is we'll now hear from the Sustainability Commission and take public comment on both reports, and then bring it back to the committee for a motion. So welcome, Commissioner Payton. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. My name is Bruce Payton, and I have the honor to serve as the chair of the Sustainability Commission. And thank you for the opportunity to talk about our work plan today. We have really 5 elements to our work plan, 4 of them on paper and 1 implied by our charter. So I wanted to just talk briefly about each of those and then see what questions you might have. The first element really is a key part of our charter, which is focusing on the County of Santa Clara's Sustainability Master Plan. That's very wide-ranging. As someone who was previously a city Sustainability Commission chair, I'm kind of blown away by the breadth and depth of what the county has to pay attention to in terms of sustainability. So our job there as a relatively new commission is to, first of all, get to understand that plan and receive reports, and we commit to making recommendations as they seem appropriate to all of you. So that's a large part of our work, and the staff for that office kind of colloquially described their presentations as SMP 101 presentation, so we're about to do the last of those, which means we will have heard reports from various departments and understand the progress. Finding our way in terms of how to be useful is an interesting journey, and I've seen enough of sustainability commissions elsewhere to know that our job is often ambiguous. But it's my way of looking at it is that we have an opportunity to shine light on different aspects of our sustainability and resilience planning and explore, first of all, what's working. I'm very impressed with the skill and effectiveness of the county staff, but also to find out what things, resources and conflicting priorities make hard for them to do. And our job as advisors to you is to help you be able to recognize those and shine a light on those. So the second part of our plan is to review specific grant-funded projects. There are two that we proposed, and I think at least one of those is potentially delayed by funding situations. But there's a comprehensive climate action plan that I believe we're still searching for EPA funding, if I have that correct. And then there's a review of the Urban Forestry Master Plan. I believe that is funded, and I think that's coming to us sometime in the next several months. I don't know that we've heard the details of that yet. The third piece is to engage Santa Clara County youth, residents, and businesses. We've really been blessed by the way their charter was set up, so that we have, out of our 11 commissioners, we have 2 youth representatives. And if these days one needs opportunities to find hope, finding the kind of young talent that you've sent us in that has just been really wonderful. Unfortunately, those 2 have now termed out, so we need to bug you to send us the next 2, please. I'll come back to them in a minute because they were the source of one of the actions we've sent to you. The fourth piece is to focus on equity. And at our very first meeting of the commission, as we the commissioners introduced ourselves to each other, probably the one word that showed up most often in people's introductions was the word equity. And it's very clear that we've got very, very different perspectives on what this means, but this commission is very conscious as we talk about things like climate change that the effects of climate change will not hit us all equally. And that means that we as advisors to you need to be really vigilant about finding ways in which we can be attentive to those equity issues. The final piece, not written down, is sort of being an ear and a voice for community concerns about sustainability. So you've already had the joy and trouble of hearing from all of us on artificial turf. That was brought to us by a collection of community groups. And then more recently, as you heard a lot this morning, the Silicon Valley Climate Youth Action Group and one of the sustainability groups brought to us the suggestion to address investment policy for the county. I'm delighted, Ms. Gallegos, to hear that you're working on that, and look forward to helping in any way that we can do that. So I guess the one last thing I would point out is that we've had one vacancy for several months now, and because we're new, we had staggered appointments. I actually drew one of the shortest straws, so I'm actually in my second term on the commission, even though it's been a little bit over a year. But we have an 11-person commission. We currently have 1 vacancy and 4 expirations. And of those that have expired, one was one of our youth representatives who's starting at Berkeley in the next day or two, so not available to us. A couple of others who, because of work duties, had not been able to attend regularly. So we're going to be kind of at the knife's edge of being able to meet at all, or if we're able to meet, heaven help us if we disagree, because we won't be able to do any recommendations to you unless we're unanimous until we get some of those positions filled. So I'm going to ask your help in nudging that along a little bit, please. With that, let me, first of all, thank you for the chance to talk with you about this. I'd encourage you to adopt our work plan, and I'd really like to hear your questions.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Vice Chair, do you have any questions for Commissioner Payton?
Yes, just a couple, and a comment, if that's okay, or I can wait until public comment. I know, I'm so soft-spoken. Many people say that. All right, so I'll start with the end. In terms of your update, you said that you have 1 vacancy and 4 expirations, and I'm happy to advertise that in our newsletter, and I wish all of the folks who made comments earlier would have stayed to listen to your update, because you could have potentially recruited some folks there. But I just want to thank you for your update. And I know that my office has been connecting with a number of environmental advocate groups to continue to listen and be in tune. And one thing I wanted just to bring out from your work plan was, and you mentioned it in your public, in your comments, was that you have youth involved, and that is very refreshing. Many commissions don't think about, or may be limited in terms of their recruitment. I shouldn't say that they don't think of our youth, but it's so difficult to bring them into the fold when they have school and other obligations. And so thank you for including our youth, and also for ensuring that there's a diversity. And so I just wanted to thank you for that. I know that we are going to have another conversation on sustainability, and so I'll refrain from asking some of my questions that I have about that, but I just wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing, and look forward to hopefully helping out with the recruitment.
I do want to make one comment, which is that one of our two youth representatives was so effective that my colleagues appointed her to be vice chair for last year, and she was great. So.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah,
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, me too. I'd like to echo my thanks to you and the entire commission. Very excited with the work that you're doing. And certainly we will also work on trying to get those vacancies filled, and we'll work with staff on where we are and how to get the word out. And I imagine with this commission, there's a lot of interest out there, so we'll do what we can to help with the outreach, especially with the young folks. I know they're very excited. So thank you for being very inclusive with them. I did want to just mention your comments earlier with your work plan. I agree. I think the county does so much. It's very vast. I read all of the documents, and what I've been asking for, and it is a lot, but just begin to like take segments, and I think it sounds like you served on your city's sustainability commission. I helped create ours, and what we asked was that we start looking at like what is the low-hanging fruit that we can achieve in the near term, and then midterm and long term, and then really even get down to begin starting to put, this is going to take some funding, and we're not in a place right now to really fund much, but at least begin to plan out the steps, and even add some some cost estimates to some of these items. So and there are grant opportunities still. I know Silicon Valley Clean Energy has quite a bit of grant funding, and I know we work with them. We're a member agency. So there's still some opportunities out there, I think, and we just need to be more, to be on alert with whatever grant opportunities come forward. So.
In my teaching career, I spent a lot of time talking about business and poverty, and one of the things that they talk about in that field is how to innovate when you don't have resources.
Yes.
And one of the things that has impressed me about the county staff is the breadth and extent of collaboration with public and private groups, and I think that's something that's really quite admirable, and frankly, something that I don't know enough about. It's like, as I read about what they're doing, I'm like, why didn't I know about that? And what? So it's a very broad range of things that the staff is doing.
Yes, yes. And I would also say within the community, what I realized was that there are many entities, and for instance, there's SV Clean Energy, but there's also San Jose Clean Energy. So my hope is that we can be the body that sort of brings everyone together, so we are as in lockstep as possible to move the needle for move the needle. So that was my vision for this commission as well. So yes, and then I just want to say thank you for including equity. That's definitely on a lot of folks' minds, and you know, some of the work, the transition can be expensive, and so I just want to, I too share your and as you said, equity means a lot of different things. On my mind has been just the transition and how to do that in an equitable way so that nobody's left behind.
There's a key learning that we all got from the hearing in this chamber about the artificial turf. We, of course, had come down on one side unanimously, but there was a room full of people who were saying, we don't have enough fields. And we, both at the city level and at the county level, are working now to say, well, we can't solve the problem we brought to you unless we also solve the problem that brought those other folks in there. And so we're trying to figure out, all right, what does that mean? And that means some hard dollars and cents calculations, but it also really means deep listening to folks with very opposite views. And that's challenging, but really rewarding for us so far.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for the thoughtfulness and the work you're doing.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll take public comment, and then we'll bring it back, and we might have some more comments as we craft a motion on this. So are there any members of the public wishing to speak?
We do have one speaker in chambers, Douglas Rice. If you'd approach the podium, you'll have 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you again, supervisors. A couple of comments on your comments and the like. Number one, we need to acknowledge the two public members, non-pilot members of the Airports Commission who are in the chambers today, Commissioner Sutherland and Commissioner Alvarado, who have been very instrumental in expanding the work plan for the commission. The public outreach is beneficial. Number two, you mentioned the MTC and the Regional Airport Planning Committee. That body was disbanded in 2014, despite letters, recommendations, and the like, as well as a legal obligation to have an aviation element of the regional transportation plan. They have ignored that. I have in my hands part of the Regional Airport System Plan, last dated 2003. So they are a little bit out of date, and we need to encourage that. I have reached out to every board member of MTC. I got positive responses from the San Mateo County members, but nothing from anybody else. Finally, I want to address Supervisor Arenas' comments, a couple of things. Number one, I've had exactly one outreach from your office on April 11th, nothing else. Number two, is I want to make sure there's an understanding here. The master plan is 90% funded by the FAA and 10% funded by user funds. Nothing comes out of your general fund. So that is a self-contained fund and a source of funding. It's not on your budget, it's on our budget. So I want to make sure that's clear moving forward. That's why the goal is so important. And whether it's now or in 2030, the items that need to be addressed are significant and the errors in the current master plan are massive. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no speakers in the Zoom room, so that concludes speakers.
Great. We'll bring it back to the committee then. So I believe we need a motion to recommend the adoption of the work plans to the full board.
Sure, and is it as is? The work plans as is?
I was going to suggest with item 7 on the Airport Commission, my understanding is staff has spoken with MTC about this item, and MTC has informed us that at this time they are unable to reconvene this committee. I'm on the commission, so I will follow up, but I know that this year in particular is a heavy workload year, and so I don't think, frankly, there is staff capacity right now. But so for that reason, I would recommend we delete item 7 in terms of EV tolls, and I just wanted to try to remember what that stands for. We're trying to make sure that acronyms are, clarified so everybody knows what they are. It's electrical, vertical takeoff, and landing EV tolls. That's included in item 3. So I think that's fine for our commission to continue to work. And frankly, if we can take the lead on that, that might be a good thing. So I think that is how we would address that item. But do you have any other suggestions for?
No suggestions, but I just wanted to understand, because I did ask about item 7, and just happened to ask about that. But you're saying that the vertical takeoff and landing and the issue around the drones and the regional coordination can be addressed through item 3, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes,
and so because item 7 may not really produce anything, because MTC is already recognizing that they have limitations and they won't be able to participate, it doesn't make sense to leave this on the work plan. And I mean, I'm supportive of deleting that if MTC isn't in the place to work on this. I don't know if the commission, the folks from the commission knew this or not. I don't know if one of our maybe staff members understood that already. Did they know that MTC wasn't going to be able to reactivate this?
Let me just say that I believe Mr. Rice did make the statement that he acknowledged that MTC did disband that body.
No, yes, he recognized that it was disbanded, but to reinstate it or to reactivate it, it sounds like maybe there's a gap in communication on that.
It sounds like MTC staff did communicate to us
Oh,
that
they
they're
did.
unable to reinstate it at this time. So
To not reinstate
to
it.
not reinstate.
Got it.
Not able to.
Okay, so they let us know. And did we let the commission know? I'm guessing we did, but I just want to hear that we did.
So to staff, yes, they're not aware, but they are today.
Okay, got it. Okay, well, you know what? We get to be the messengers. And sometimes that's what happens in systems that are this large and when things are moving rather quickly, and we're hoping to get answers in time for our meetings. And so I apologize you weren't informed of this. I get that you're coming in with your the best efforts in terms of what you think is right for the commission. We get to give some feedback here at the committee. Ultimately, it's the collective board that approves or doesn't approve. I will recognize the recommendation from my chair and make a motion to approve the work plans and delete item 7 in the Airport Commission 2025-2026 work plan, since we've already recognized that the MTC and the collaborating commission will be able to work with us. And finally, I do want to thank the airport commissioners and those advocates that are coming in and speaking on behalf of some of the concerns. Whether we agree or disagree, I think it's wonderful to continue to communicate, and I appreciate that open line of communication. I know that one of you said, there's sometimes not enough resources that we need. There's never going to be enough resources to do all the things that we want to do. And of course, we're challenged currently by that limitation imposed on us by the federal government. But I wanted to remind you that, necessity is the mother of invention, and we will need to be great inventors for, I don't know how long, but certainly in the next 5 years, if not more. And so I ask you to work with us on what we're doing. I think in the spirit of that comment that was made earlier, I appreciate that you recognize already the lack of resources. And so anyways, with that, I make that motion. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll second the motion and also just, again, offer my thanks to the commissioners, all of the commissioners who showed this morning. I think this is really a very helpful and productive interaction, and look forward to continued engagement. And yes, I appreciate the acknowledgement of our current challenging times, but I do look at this as a point in time, and maybe sometimes people call me overly optimistic, but having been through a few years, there is things to improve, and so I believe that there will be opportunity if we're not able to take up everything right now, that there will be opportunity down the road to do so. So thank you again for your engagement, and with that, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Chairperson Abe-Koga.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you so much. Thank you again. We will go on to item 6 now. If 5 was put on consent, and this is to receive a report from the Office of Sustainability and Resilience relating to the Integrated Natural Resource Management Program activities.
As Ms. Casey Hill, our acting director, and Brent Johnson, our brand new integrated natural resource manager. I was thinking about integrated waste, excuse me. What I'll offer before they start is that the very sliver of a silver lining of the federal government dismantling programs and departments is that it provided the opportunity for us to hire Mr. Johnson. He was a National Park Service lifer, but given the circumstances, we are the beneficiary. And this is a great opportunity to introduce him as well. So with that, I'm going to turn over to the staff for the presentation. And I'll say that this position's been vacant for a couple of years, so there's much work we need to do to bring ourselves up to date.
Welcome.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, Chair Abe-Koga, Vice Chair Arenas, and Hewlett Committee. My name is Casey Hill. I'm the Acting Director for Office of Sustainability and Resilience. And as Deputy County Executive Gallegos mentioned, I'm joined today by Brent Johnson, who joined the county just about a month ago in the role of Integrated Natural Resource Manager. So Brent is going to give us today just a brief overview of the office's natural resource management work. And pass it to Brent.
Yeah, thank you. It's just Chair Abe-Koga and Vice Chair Arenas. It's really an
honor to be in this room with you all. And it's also an honor to be here working in this county. I feel really fortunate to be able to have gotten this opportunity to find something in addition to what I was doing for 35 years with the National Park Service, and to find another place so close to where I live that is something, being able to continue to do work that I really care about. So I have been working with the National Park Service. Up until the beginning of July, I was working, supporting parks across the West and the Pacific Islands and Hawaii on things ranging from how do we protect Joshua trees from the impacts of expanding wildfire in places that wildfire wasn't supposed to be. Giant sequoias, same thing. We didn't think that they could die, these giant monarchs that are on the patch of the National Park Service. We didn't think they could die from fire, and we've lost 10% of the giant sequoias in the last 4 to 5 years, of the big ones, and also avian malaria with Hawaiian forest birds. Things like that were some of the projects that I was working on. And one of the things that I've noticed in coming and joining all of you here is that when people go to national parks, they go to these places, they save up their money, and they'll go and spend a week or a weekend in places like Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, Mount Rushmore. And then they come back home. And then they get to bring what they learned and they bring it back home. And what I see now, working with all these people here, is that we are home. We're working on places that what you all and myself call home. And I think that's a really substantial difference. They're both very important. But I'm really excited to be able to start to work with all of you and in a place that I do call home. So it's really exciting. So what we're going to talk about, I wanted to just do a really quick overview of what the Integrated Natural Resource Management Program is, some of the pillars of it, just a quick, I'm sure there'll be lots of opportunities in the coming years to dive deeper on some of these and how it fits in with the Office of Sustainability and Resilience. And really, the center column there you can see is where natural resources may fall, but it really connects with everything. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, carbon sequestration, that has to do with natural resources, with urban forests, trees, grasslands, serpentine grasslands, they're helping us with carbon sequestration. So lots of ways that it's all really connected, that our natural resources don't begin and end at the boundary of what we have zoned or protected as a natural resources, that our resources, they don't know these political boundaries, they don't know these boundaries, they leave the falcons, the raptors, the wildlife, they are crossing those lines. So that's, that it's really connected with a lot of things that transcends the boundaries that we think of as, how we think about how we manage things. And within our group in Integrated Natural Resource Management and OSR, that one of the benefits of this group is that we don't have land to manage. We don't have a fleet or facilities and infrastructure that we're managing, but we are, which provides a nimbleness to what we do, because we can turn and support all the other work groups and divisions in the county with some of the needs that tier from the Sustainability Master Plan and how we can help them with some of that. I see us as a force multiplier, that we are here with a small group that can help add value to all of these work groups and all these programs that are in the county, and that we can help that by being nimble, by being able to move from one group and turn on a dime and go help those other things. So a small and mighty group that can really expand and add value to help meet the county's objectives. So I think that's really exciting. One of the challenges with that is communication. We have to be able to, we want to make sure that people know we're here. We also want to make sure that we are not stepping on toes. We want to make sure that we're working with people and not just we don't want to be perceived as a barrier or a roadblock. We are value added to all of everybody's objectives, whether it's saving money, whether it's equity, whether it's, carbon sequestration. It's, finding those common values and helping them meet the county's objectives. So, yeah, next slide. Within our INRM, we have, I think, of 4 pillars that we really are going to focus on in the coming years. This is tiering primarily off of the Sustainability Master Plan, which we have integrated pest management, which is specifically within the scope here is county lands, doesn't include vector control, county property that with pest management, it's not just about pesticides, it's about, protecting people from and infrastructure from pests. One of the best ways we can focus on reducing pesticide use is really thinking about prevention. It's just the ounce of prevention, the things we always think about with medicine, that we want to reduce the amount of pesticide by getting out in front of it, not waiting until we actually have an issue. So that's really something that we're only really thinking. That can be everything from exclusion, keeping pests out, good habits within a building, having contract specifications early on. So then other things are sustainable landscaping, working with facilities and fleet on the water reduction and proper pruning techniques, the proper planting techniques. Really, we have a good relationship and frequent communication with folks there. Also, habitat protection and conservation, that really crosses all boundaries. Again, as I said, natural resources don't end at the edge of our parks. They go beyond that. And there's been even examples this week where I've seen some pretty amazing natural resources at correctional facilities, believe it or not. So it's quite interesting. So, and then urban forestry I'll be touching on in a few minutes too. So that's a big pillar of our thing. So, and the importance of this is really just getting it to why integrated natural resource management is important, is really to promote the clean and safe environment, provide resilient communities, and really there's an important human component of that, which again is because so many people, millions of people call this their homes, that this is really helping with the quality of life there. So one of the pillars that I mentioned was urban forestry, and I wanted to highlight that today, where there's so many benefits of this. This is working with this, providing shade and wellness to all members of our community. And there's right now we're working on we heard about it a little bit earlier, working on a urban forest plan right now, and we're going to be having drafts available for review coming later just in a few months. So we should have a final product. The goal is this March in 2026. So that's happening right now. We're actively working on it. There's all sorts of amazing products that'll be a part of that. One is I've seen on the list of products is going to be a canopy equity study. I'm not sure I can guess what that is, but that's pretty cool that we could get a canopy equity study. So I'm pretty excited about that. So lots of exciting things going on, but I wanted to share with you primarily what's going on with that urban forest program. So, yeah, and yeah, this is just I'm just really happy to be able to be here and get to give back to what I live in Gilroy, and I'm really glad to be able to work here and to give back to the place that I call home. Thank you.
Well, welcome aboard. We're really happy to have you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. Let's go to public comment. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak?
We have no speakers on the item.
Okay, I'll close that. My question was regarding the urban forest master plan. So it sounds like it's on its way. You're doing community engagement now, and we look
correct.
forward to a draft document soon.
Yep, that's
Great.
correct.
That's
Yep.
wonderful. I mean, also, my question had a different question about how your division's partnerships work with other departments such as Parks and Rec or SEPA.
Yeah, there's on several, as I mentioned, it's one of the things that you really have to stay on top of, which is communication. So we have, I'm still seeing those relationships and learning about each of the nuances of each of those. But what I've seen, there's standing calls with facilities and fleet that are happening, on a very frequent basis to talk about those things. We have site visits. So it really comes down to really staying on top of that communication and setting up those meetings, being proactive, ensuring that we're demonstrating that we're value added. We're really here we're here to help. So really trying to do that. I see that helping review, I think setting things up with contracts, helping review contracts to ensure that certain things are in those and agreements, making sure that the critical components, the right language is in there, can really set us up beneficially. So really offering those services, technical assistance. But I think it really comes down to just staying ahead and staying vigilant with standing meetings and communication, which what I have seen within OSR and within Integrated Natural Resource Management, it's really on a good track with that. I haven't seen I don't have any concerns with it. It's just going to be building on what I see as already existing success. So, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Vice Chair, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I would like to say welcome, and somebody else's loss is our gain. So happy to have you here, and thank you for the presentation. I think I love that you are under your enhancement. Have, of course, the Youth Climate Initiative, and I think it's one of the younger generations than mine are very much interested in the environment. And we heard, of course, from the Commission just a moment ago about how they have integrated youth into their commission. And so I wanted to hear just a little bit more about what your plans are as you see them. I know that you're just getting started. You're just establishing, like you just finished saying, you're making those connections for communication. But do you have any maybe aspirations in terms of how you see our youth involved in this county?
Yeah, I think it's really recognizing that we have within OSR we have youth fellows and youth folks working with us already, so we are engaged on that level, and I think there's opportunity with some of the on-the-ground work that we'll be doing where people can get involved in their own communities with things such as things that are on the fore right now is like tree planting. And I think recognizing that some of the things that I think all of us who've worked with youth and that I've learned recognizing it coming from my previous experiences, understanding that it can be challenging for a lot of community members to, it's a luxury to be able to come and work and be an intern or be a fellow with folks at what's potentially a lower salary, or for a volunteer. That's something that's not everybody can afford, and so it really finding ways to engage that makes that equitable with our youth, I think are some of the ways. And I know that's not a real tangible
No,
answer,
I appreciate that. No,
some of the things. I don't know, Casey, do you have anything to add to what we're already doing?
I think that was great. And I would just add also that very specifically as part of our, a couple of the CBOs that we're working with directly on the Urban Forestry Master Plan, Canopy and our community forest, we have a couple of different ways in which we're working with them to engage youth through educational workshops and also through, as Brent mentioned, the planting. So working directly with them.
No, and thank you. And thank you for mentioning that this is a luxury. It truly is. A lot of the folks and the youth that come forward, and I know this as a council member, I see this again as a supervisor, folks are getting ready to enter college, that in that universe, requires folks to show their involvement, the civic involvement in their respective communities. And whether you're motivated because of that or just a personal fulfillment, I think we do need a myriad of youth involved. And so I really appreciate that you recognize that piece. So I'll be looking forward to seeing how you pull those folks who normally wouldn't step forward into the fold. The other piece is that we heard earlier how some of the advocates, environmental advocates, connected dots for us in terms of asking us to divest in certain companies, right? And I think it's a great strategy, if you will, to reduce it down to a strategy, but it is a strategy that allows us to connect dots and to hear a message differently, right? I would love to see how we can get more of those dots connected, even between some of the commissions. Some of the commissions have some impact to our environment. I'll just mention that the Airports Commission comes just offhand because we happen to talk about sustainability and airports at the same time. And I see those two linked, right? And there could be some level of advocacy that goes across those commissions, or to see how we can connect those dots a little more clearly, and not to be oppositional in any way, but I think it would be a disservice for us not to recognize that opportunity to connect environmentalists to some of our overall priorities, not exclusive just to the Sustainability Commission, but that goes beyond. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And those are my comments. I look forward to working with you. Welcome aboard. From what I understand, you're very unique, and we are just really dazzled to have you on board. So once again, welcome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, may I get a motion to receive the report?
Absolutely. I'll make that motion to receive the report. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll second that. Could we get a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes, ma'am.
Chairperson Abekoga.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll move on to item 7, which is to receive a report from the Office of the County Executive and Department of Planning and Development relating to the preliminary recommendations for permitting process improvements, including for all types of development, including agricultural, worker housing. And do we have a presentation today?
Good morning, Sylvia Gallegos, Deputy County Executive. Before I turn the presentation over to Ms. Anciano, I wanted to take a moment to set the stage, which is that this is a very significant body of work that is a component of our ag worker housing work plan. We've spent, I think, 2 years in a very intensive process, which I think the director will speak to. But I wanted to acknowledge it wasn't simply consultant CEO and the Department of Planning and Development, but really also our partner permitting departments, including environmental health. And I see our director, Ms. Marilyn Underwood, in the audience with us today. The work here will benefit all types of development and will be a benefit to all applicants. But I wanted to underscore, and you'll see this in the presentation, that there are sets of recommendations to help promote ag worker housing preliminarily, and many of them, frankly, are outside the realm of Department of Planning and Development, but we are taking this and have a plan to refine these recommendations and bring them back in the fall. The one note, which will be deflating, is that I've always recognized, and certainly the director can speak to this, that the department needs more investments. And if you see the peer jurisdictions, it was stunning to me, the gap in terms of the resources. My deflating comment is that, and the board knows this, is that we are facing the most significant budgetary headwinds since Prop 13 days. And so, our goal will be to advocate for example, there are opportunities for one-time IT investments in our Excella system that will yield ongoing savings in terms of staff efficiency, trying to find reports, generating letters. Those are just a couple of examples. So, we certainly are going to try and advocate that there is value in being able to do this because we certainly know while it's a small department, it generates a lot of concern that then turns into, constituent referrals because, and I'm going to emphasize this, unlike the cities, development in the rural area is always, it's inherently more timely, less timely, and more challenging because we don't have ready access to water, we don't have ready access to wastewater hookups. We have site constraints, including riparian corridors. We may have conservation easements. We may have slope concerns. And so it's much, much more intensive processing any applications in the rural areas. So with that, I'm going to turn over the presentation to the director who will introduce our consultants and we'll be on our way.
Thank you. I'm going to say Supervisor Gallegos. No, Deputy County Executive Gallegos. Thank you. I want to just speak to very briefly our business model in the department, our people-centered services, and the momentum that we have right now with the transformation modernization of our permit process. That momentum is so closely associated with the initiative that Supervisor Arenas moved forward relative to ag housing and the CEO is championing. We're very excited to have Barry Dunn, the consultant that our internal audit team started this process about 2 years ago and has handed off to Barry Dunn. So I'm going to introduce to you Kevin Price, who is a principal with Barry Dunn. He and Clara Dobbs will make the presentation. Our internal audit team commenced this process working with the planning and development team. And we have consistently worked with roads and airports, environmental health, and our fire marshal's office to look at ways to improve our process and the timing of our process and our responsiveness. And so this has been a collaborative effort, but we have gained momentum as we associated with the initiatives that were introduced by Supervisor Arenas. So at this point, I will turn the presentation over to Barry Dunn, Kevin Price.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the work we've been doing with the county. We prepared a brief presentation. So just looking at the agenda here, we will start off on discussing our project approach, just kind of providing a high level on kind of the where we're at in the project, the work that's been completed, and what's upcoming. We will then talk about the way that we approached our current environment assessment. At that point, I'll hand it over to Clara, who will share more about our peer research and the best practice research that's been done. Then we'll look at some of the preliminary recommendations and provide an overview of those recommendations. And then we'll open it up from there for talk about next steps and then any questions that we can answer at this time. So our project approach, there's 4 phases here. We call our phase 0 our project management approach, or phase, excuse me. That's our project management got started with initial coordination with the county project management team and established the overall schedule, communication channels, methodologies for the project. And that phase continues in the form of our biweekly status updates throughout the course of the project. Our first phase is where we started the assessment of current policies and practices. That got started late in 2024 and went through this past spring. We then moved on to the current phase that we're in today, which is phase 2, findings and recommendations for improvement. And so the point in that phase that we're in now is we have some preliminary recommendations. Those are what we'll be providing an overview of today. Once we solicit additional feedback today and also some additional feedback from the department team that we've been working with, we will be carrying those forward into a recommendations report with detailed implementation action steps for all of the recommendations that we move ahead with. Looking further ahead after that, we will support the county in an implementation phase to execute those initiatives. So just briefly to highlight the current environment assessment approach. So we started off looking at what's been done in the past. So I want to understand kind of from a historical perspective. We also want to understand any in-progress plans or policies. So that was some of our background research. We then had a big focus on current process, current technologies, policies, and organization. Organization being overall structure, overall staffing. We then, based on some of the challenges identified in that kind of present review, as we started talking about future state. And as part of that, we looked at what changes in current process, technology, what types of changes would help us improve upon those challenges that we're facing in the current environment. And so that helped set the stage for our recommendations for improvement. So I will hand it off to Clara to talk more about our peer research and best practices.
Thank you, Kevin. So I'm going to review with you the peer comparative research and best practices and our recommended initiatives today. So before developing recommended initiatives, we do peer comparative research and best practices to understand what's happening in other jurisdictions and also in the industry, to see what the county can leverage to help to resolve some of the challenges in the development review process. And also, peer comparative research helps to build support around those recommendations for improvement, because you know that these are also areas where other jurisdictions have been successful with implementing as well. So these are the topics that we researched, and these topics were chosen because they were identified also as challenges and opportunities for improvement when we did the current environment assessment. And also, in terms of researching these topics, we did this with the understanding that the county is still inherently unique in terms of its land development. And that is because there is a significant amount of rural area in the county, which adds to the layer of complexity with developing in those rural areas. And that complexity can come with challenges with navigating on-site wastewater disposal and water provision. So we wanted to also provide that as a context in what we also took into account when doing this peer comparative research. To dive down into some of the topics that we researched, the pre-application process and also the application completeness and acceptance process. And as Ms. Oceano was describing, people-centered services is a significant focus for the department. And in order to provide better services for the community, better customer services, there needs to be improvement in these processes to make the process more convenient, more efficient, and so people can get their services quicker and with less hurdles. And that starts with a solid pre-application process. So we looked at what peer communities were doing in terms of their pre-application process and how they were also leveraging their electronic permit portal systems to support that process. And then with application completeness and acceptance, it is important for there to be the proper sequencing in events in order, and the proper sequencing in the phases of the completeness and acceptance process in order to ensure that there is efficiency in that process and that direction is very clear for the applicant, and that everyone is on the same page, both the staff as well as the applicant, in terms of what the expectations are and what the timeline looks like for those for the review of those permits. And in our best practice research, we also reviewed what other jurisdictions were doing with their permit portals. So this is an example from the County of Sonoma, Permit Sonoma online Acela portal. And what you can see is that they use this portal to provide a one-stop shop for the community members, which is a great customer service tool, in that it makes everything accessible and convenient, and people are able to get their resources by going online and in at one location. And also with these services, people can apply for permits as well as look at county reports in terms of how they are performing with performance measures and the reviews of applications, and all of that helps to increase the transparency in the process. People get a feel for an understanding for the timelines involved with the different reviews, and that just helps to build that public trust and gives the applicants some assurity and predictability in what that process looks like. So ag worker housing is also a very critical focus for the department, and also a focus for the study, very foundational for the reason we did this report. And so we wanted to find out what other jurisdictions, both in California and nationally, were doing, and different strategies they were using to provide for ag worker housing. This is a very complex process, and especially in the county with its unincorporated areas, which adds to the layer of complexity. So we wanted to find out what different strategies, but also recognizing that this will require resources, tools, and partnerships that may go beyond the county planning and development department. But in terms of what those resources could look like, there are other jurisdictions nationally that are leveraging the partnerships with housing authorities and nonprofit organizations to help to provide ag worker housing, and also establishing that city-county partnership to help support this type of housing. And I will also say, in the examples that we found, these were housing units that also provided the community support too. So there were also associated amenities for the community members and supportive services as well. And also in the state of California, through the California Institute of Rural Studies, they provide some great recommendations in terms of how to do some action planning and how to support the provision of ag worker housing, from the regional collaboration to incentivizing the development of these housing units, as well as providing property owners critical support that they need to help to provide for and to help the county meet this critical need. And also leveraging communication channels. So the County of San Diego, County of Sonoma are two examples in which they use their online website to provide a one-stop shop for ag worker housing resources. This can help property owners with identifying the permits that they need, as well as technical and financial resources. So now I'm going to review the recommended initiatives. And so we have 34 recommended initiatives, and they span across people, process, policy, and technology. And this holistically will help to provide the supported recommendations to improve the functions of the organization. And to talk about people, again, with the same theme of providing people-centered services, in order to fulfill and to help the county department fulfill that mission, there needs to also be an investment in the people, in the staff. And so the county has an Acela permit portal, and this portal there is still room to grow with that portal system, and for it to reach its most optimal level. And when it's able to reach that most optimal level, it becomes better for the customers. People can obtain resources throughout the permitting process in a very convenient way, and with less hurdles. And in order for there to be improvement with that permitting system, there will need some support with the Acela staff and the IT staff. because of the system modifications that will be required. And then also once those modifications happen, there will be some support needed to ensure continuity and that those improvements continue to happen over time and that there's governance over that process. In addition, the planning staff, there is need for capacity with the planning division. And as we have been discussing, 3/4 of the county is unincorporated. And with those unincorporated lands, the land use entitlement process is very complex and very time consuming and requires a lot of focus from the planning staff. So in order to help to ensure that people-centered services can be fulfilled through that land use entitlement process, additional support in the planning division will help to ensure that the planners can fulfill their most optimal role as project managers. And as project managers, they will be able to walk that application even before it becomes an application, when it's at the pre-application stage, giving guidance and education to applicants, ensuring that they understand the constraints that can come with the process and the requirements, and then walking that application and that applicant hand in hand through that process and seeing it through the plan review process and as it picks up in the building permitting process. And in addition, just to focus on the development permit process and procedural manual. Developing this manual will help to ensure that there is consistency in process and the procedures in the development review process. When there is consistency, this shows on the outside. Applicants see that consistency, and when they see that consistency, they have more reassurance in that process, and it's more predictability for the applicant so that they can plan their time, their resources to support those permitting needs. And in addition, consistency helps to support the internal staff because when the staff has consistency, they have more reassurance, they have more confidence in the process, and that helps them to make better decisions, which can also help to get more informed and quicker decisions to the applicants. We're going to now discuss the recommendations for process, and we have a total of 12 recommendations. You see 8 here listed on the screen, so I'm going to hit on a few of these. And one we'll start at the top with consistent terminology. This is very important. We have found through the current environment assessment that different divisions use different terminology to describe the same steps in the process. So just bringing that consistency across all of the divisions will also help to support the procedural, the standard operating procedures in that process. And also providing a list of consultants for ag housing. This helps to support the provision of ag housing and the applicants that are looking to help the county meet this critical housing need. So providing a list of consultants that are familiar with the land development, the land use entitlement process, and more importantly, the complexities and the constraints that can come with that process would be of great service to applicants that are looking to build this type of housing and will help to give them a leg up in the process. And also measure efficiency. Measure efficiency talks about developing key performance indicators and performance measures. And the county department has already started along this process, and there is room to take this to a more optimal level. And you can take this to a more optimal level by identifying the inputs and the data that is needed to be collected and how to use that Acela system to support that data collection need. And when you identify the inputs, you can then get to the desired outputs that you were looking for. And with key performance indicators and permit and performance measures, these performance measures over time will help to identify um, gaps in the process, workload challenges, areas where there are capacity challenges, and that can help to have that support and to make sure staff has that support over the long haul. In addition, a lot of county departments also post performance measures and provide these reports online. And that is an additional benefit in that it provides transparency for the public and predictability for the public as well. And the four additional process recommendations, update Excel workflows. This will help to ensure that the procedures that are developed for consistency are also reflected in the Acela system, and that there is proper sequencing in the Acela system to help to make sure the process is streamlined and more convenient, and that it happens on a consistent basis from application to application. We will now go on to policy recommendations. Sorry about that. We have 6 policy recommendations, and we'll talk first about lobby for temporary and seasonal ag housing changes. The county department already, has begun to advocate for legislative changes with ag worker housing, and this will just to help to reinforce that critical need to do so. In terms of lobbying for changes in temporary and ag worker housing provision to help ensure that these housing units can be developed quicker in a more streamlined way that also reduces the bureaucratic hurdles that applicants have to go through and the time delays involved. Revamp code compliance program. And with this initiative, first to focus on compliance and the change from enforcement to compliance. Because in compliance recognizes that there is a need to help to work with the property owners that have the violation to help them to resolve the violation. So it's about encouraging that voluntary compliance, excuse me, and especially in the land use entitlement process, and ensuring that through the land use entitlement process, that applicants have a way to get through that land use entitlement process to legalize the violation in order to ensure that the violation can ultimately be resolved. Consolidate development processes into one ordinance. This speaks to just ensuring that, for instance, with the grading ordinance, the grading requirements are in multiple locations, multiple documents. Consolidating all of the zoning ordinance under all of the zoning requirements under one ordinance will help to just give people a one-stop place to look for what is required in their application so that they don't have to go to multiple documents to find what is required. And now moving on to technology, 9 recommendations under technology. And to discuss a few of these, we'll talk about establish online dashboards. We looked at an example of this with Permit Sonoma, having a one-stop shop online where that can be of great convenience for applicants and really help to provide that people-centered services, even from the start when they go to the county department's website. And be able to quickly get to that dashboard, get to the resources that they need, and also so that the process can be quicker, easier, and more efficient. And also to talk about establishing document management. This is also of critical importance. Right now, a lot of the county department records can be found are in different locations. So for instance, if they're working with a property owner and they need to get research on the previous records, previous permits, the history of the property. They could be in multiple locations, and this could cause time delays, which ultimately leads to time delays for the applicants. So with a document management system, that will put all of the county's records into one centralized location, which saves time for the staff and ultimately saves time for the applicant. And also the development of ag worker housing webpage. Having a one-stop shop location for ag worker housing. San Diego, Permian Sonoma have similar functions in which you can go to one webpage where there could be resources, both technical and financial, as well as information on how to get the permits that are required for ag worker housing and how to navigate through the permitting process. All right. And next steps. So next steps for us would be to finalize this benchmark analysis report and preliminary recommendation summary. And then to also fully develop that findings and recommendations for improvement report. And that report will also include some specific actions that the county can take to implement these recommendations. And then also the step after that would be to update the policies and procedures. And we will be there to help support the county in the implementation of those policies and procedures. And with that, this is our contact information, and we are here to support any questions. And I will turn it back over to Ms. Sylvia Gallegos and Jacqueline Oceano.
So with Jacqueline Onciano, Director of Planning and Development, so we would entertain any questions that the Supervisor Abicoga or Supervisor Arenas or clarifications you may desire. We do have our executive team who also have been working closely with Barry Dunn, so we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to get a public comment first. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on the item.
All right, thank you. We'll bring it back to the committee. Vice Chair, do you have any questions or comments?
Just a couple. I'm wondering if, I know that you provided some comparisons on the other jurisdictions and what they're doing to address agricultural worker housing. So I'm wondering if you can have a comparative table showing that collectively what the other jurisdictions are doing versus the recommendations that you have for us. Is that something that's possible?
Kevin and
Yes,
Clara.
Yeah. Yes, okay.
Yes, we're happy to do that.
Wonderful. And then I know you conducted interviews and outreach with just a combination of folks, and I'm wondering how many of those were developers that actively build agricultural worker housing?
Clara and Kevin, did you hear the question?
We did, and I know we need to follow up. I think the way we had the participants not identified, we would need to do a little bit of follow-up to confidently answer that. We certainly can. We do have an inventory of who we engaged with as part of that outreach, so that we can take that as a follow-up item.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. And I have another question that's going to be too detailed, and I know we're over time, so I'll take it offline and I'll ask you later, Sylvia. But those are my questions for now. I'm glad that we're taking a look at this. I know that this is around agricultural worker housing, but really the improvements to the planning department and the planning process is going to be for everyone and for all development. And I think this is about time that we do something like this, especially with a list of builders remedy projects that are going to be impacting us and the arena goals that have been set for us. It is something, even though we don't have the funding for it, I think that we need to be very efficient and effective about the kinds of how we invest. And if it has to be in some of the online modalities that you indicated, then I think that's something that we need to do, because it's going to cost us even more not to invest in these areas. And I say that because we know that our housing element is always in the back of our minds and maybe at risk if we don't make sure that we are thorough and if deliver the RENA goals that are assigned to us. And so it is, I think, with great consternation on my part, to listen to some of these efficiencies that or efficiency recommendations that have been made, not only for agricultural worker housing, but planning in general, and to ultimately reach our goals, our RENA goals, so that we can continue to protect our housing element plan. In the end, for me, that is motivation. As well as ensure that we have more clear, defined policies and procedures. That's always something that I'm looking for. And as the chair of Hewlett, a former chair of Hewlett, that's really important to me. But what I meant was a chair of LAFCO. We also did that and just finished up doing that, because it's important for us to have not only a shared vocabulary, but also define those policies for our applicants, so that they are very clear about our expectations, and to have defined policies and procedures for clarity, and hopefully to not fast track, but to make the process as efficient and as quick as we can. So anyways, that's hopefully we'll have an offline deeper level conversation. But for that, now, those are my comments, and if you will so have it, Chair, I will make a motion to accept the report.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vice Chair, and thank you for your leadership and initiative in starting this process. It sounds like it was from the lens of agricultural worker housing, but I think you're absolutely right. The entire process, it was due for a review, and very much appreciate staff as well as Barry Dunn for the work that's been conducted. I would just start with comments, and then I have a couple of quick questions. I know we're getting short on time, but I would say, having done development projects for quite a while, and I think I've seen over 150 or so now, but what I often hear is from the applicants is clarity. So just being very clear on what the process is. And, this is, I think it's not unusual, but I've heard, folks say, well, depending on who I get at the counter, or who I get, the rules might be different, or the answers I get are different. So I think it's really important that we have real clarity and consistency, even in terms of terminology. So I appreciate that that's one of the recommendations. Definitely, I think we have a lot of work we can do in terms of IT investments, especially during COVID. We're putting a lot of things online, and the concept of a one-stop shop, being able to pull, the fire department and public works and whatnot together to be able to work on a project at once is very valuable. So I hope that we can get to that point. And I believe I know there's AI coming into to some of our processes, and I actually look at the planning department as a real opportunity for technology to be able to help with that work. So look forward to that. I know that, and I did notice in the comparisons, the big thing that really stuck out was just that our staffing is much lower than many of our comparison agencies, and I know this is not necessarily a time where we can afford to hire more staff, but I wanted to ask, so a lot, at least from my past experience, like we're very focused on cost recovery, and I know we just did the fee increases, but are there other areas where we should be perhaps charging for staff time. I know with some of the big projects, we've had the applicants, or they've even offered to, to fund a staff position or whatnot, but are we taking advantage of those types of opportunities, or do you see that we can maybe do more in that area?
That's an excellent comment, and in fact, we have taken that to heart. As you know, because the department has brought a series of updates to fees and charges, that the department is looking through the entirety of its services to find those opportunities. I'll say long-term, the vision is to move to a model much like the city of San Jose, where all of the work is funded through fees and charges, and we won't be dependent upon the general fund, given the headwinds we're facing these next 5 years. The hard part is a lot of work we do is legislative. So, for example, the last, at least in my mind, notable legislative work was the update to the Stanford Community Plan. We can't charge that out, but there are ways to do surcharges, for technology or for that legislative work. So that is our long-term North Star, and we support your support for this.
Okay, great, thank you. Yes, I know we had a separate fund where we actually took the fees and whatnot, and then, funded our staff through that. So just to keep it clear and transparent, but absolutely, I think we should be looking at full cost recovery in that regard. Regarding design review, do we have a design review advisory council or committee? Because that's something that I think, I think most all cities have, and I noticed some of the other counties had something like that too.
Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning and Development. We do not have a design review committee. We have various committees in various areas, like in the SIMPAC area. We have the San Martin Planning Advisory Committee, but within this jurisdiction, we do not have a design committee.
And partly to augment on the director's comment, my sense is that it's primarily driven by the fact that 99% of our land is rural, and so there'll be very site-specific needs to address.
Sure. I think the value is having professionals who serve on the commission and committee, and then it's another point of community engagement or outreach that folks can come to give their public comment on. So something I would suggest we look at, consider. I know there's a lot more to talk about, but I know this is going to come back to us, I think, at many points, so I'll leave it to there. Again, I appreciate the people-centeredness. I think, we as public service, we are customer service and customer service oriented. So I hope that we can continue to look at the work we do in that regard. So yes, with that, may I get a motion to receive the report? So, yes.
I believe a motion has been made, and we just need a second.
I need a second. Okay, so I'll second that. And with that, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Chairperson Abekoga.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you. Two very good. Should we defer? Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Great. Yes. Unfortunately we're past our usual time allotment, and so I would like to ask that we defer item number 8 until our next meeting. And then item 10, the reports from the committees. I think the reports are there, could we get them written reports if there's any?
Sure, but we do have one staff person we'd like to introduce,
yes,
if you don't mind.
If we can.
Okay,
Yes, if I may, we have our Ag Ally position filled, and we have with us, she began on the 4th of August, Erin Yatta. And we are happy to have Erin. And so, yeah, we wanted to introduce her to you.
Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Great. And again, apologies for those of you who are waiting to present on item 8, but we look forward to the update. I think it's going to be a meaty topic, so we'd like to be able to have the sufficient time to go through it. So with that.
If I can, through the chair, we just want to recognize one of our staff who has been a champion of our housing element. His last day, Michael Meehan, is next Thursday. And so he will be venturing into a new opportunity. He made a wonderful choice to be closer with his family and his children. And so we will miss Michael tremendously, but wanted to acknowledge the work he has done. He has served in our department for 7 years. He served this county for 8.5 prior to coming to planning. He was wonderful in processing our Silicon Valley ag plan. He has worked at the front counter and has just been a real joy to work with, and we will miss him tremendously.
Well, thank you so much. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. I'll just appreciate Jack's comments. Certainly appreciate opportunity to work with both Sylvia's here, and I've enjoyed my time at the county very much and had the opportunity to learn quite a bit and take on a lot, and so it will go with me, the experience I've had here. Thank you.
Would you like to
Through the chair, yes, absolutely. I'm surprised and also really sad that you're leaving. And I wanted to just say, I didn't say this in a previous item, and I would say, the one that we just finished, I want to thank you for all the hard work. I know that there was a lot of research that was done with my office to get our agriculture worker housing bill together. A lot of fundamentals came from you, and I just want to thank you for all the hard work and dedication. I'm sure that there was also a team behind you that contributed to that, and of course with Sylvia Gallegos' leadership, and you've been shepherding all of this just in such a lovely way. I'm absolutely grateful and sad to see you go. If there was anything that we could do to convince you, but when you need to be close to your family, there is no other way to convince folks that you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and the people around you, and of course those that you love. And so congratulations on your new venture. I hope you do well there and take some of the lessons and wants and needs and priorities of our county to that next level. And I look forward to seeing how we interact, because those universes actually do. So congratulations once again.
And I haven't had the opportunity to work with you for very long, but thank you so much for your service, and totally understand family first. And so I wish you all the best in your next endeavors. Thank you so much. Any other announcements? Yes. Great. All right. With
Through the chair, I'm so sorry. I'd be remiss not to say thank you also to Lisa, to your leadership for our agriculture worker housing. I was focused all on Michael because, of course, he's leaving. You're staying with us, and I appreciate all the work that you have been doing and will continue to do under this. And so thank you. I know Michael got us started. You obviously were part of that as well. I have to recognize that because hard work always needs to be elevated. And to Erin, congratulations on coming on board. I also understand that we've been looking for you for a really long time, and like a unicorn, I have heard. You are so unique in what you bring to the county, and so look forward to also working with you. Thank you.
Great. Again, welcome aboard and best wishes to you. Yes, I'm sorry that we don't have the time to do the verbal reports. If there's anything significant, oh, okay.
I just have a quick announcement.
Yes.
South Santa Clara County is going to have 3 open streets events, very similar to what San Jose called Viva Calle. First one is scheduled for September 21st, dubbed San Martin Country Roads. Open streets from on Sunday, the 21st, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., followed by Gilroy Open Streets on October 19th and Ride Morgan Hill on November 2nd. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any
This
other?
I'm so sorry. This is something that's come out of our office and our love for Viva Calles and open streets here in San Jose. They're actually celebrating their 10th anniversary, so hopefully everybody gets to celebrate with them. But yes, thank you so much, Harry, for your work on this side of the county line to make sure that our open streets down in South County are what they should be. And I know we are going to have a lot of level of expectation out there because they haven't experienced it, right? And so we're going to just bring all of it. And so thank you for making sure that happens. Thank you.
I'm going to then really, if you have really quick announcements, just go straight down so we're good. Okay. All right, great. Well, with that, we adjourn the meeting.
To the chair,
Oh,
just a
I'm
note
sorry,
for the
public
record that we
comment?
have no speakers on item number 10
Thank you
since we
very
went ahead and
much.
took it.
Appreciate it. With that, we stand adjourned at 12:30. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good afternoon. No.